Every man has his techniques, and they're all different. And when you know mine, you'll be dead.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back yet again. This is Season 3, Episode 7 of Dead Air Radio. I'm your host, Steve Fletch. Have my co-host, Mitch Hartman here. Mitch, how's it going?
It's great. Everything's good.
And we have a guest today. This is, we're going back to the shop owners. So we have Jeremy Fullerton of Conservation Skateshop, formerly. So this is going to bring a different aspect to it. We had the shop owners on who are still doing it, and then we have real life here with Jeremy and the other end of the spectrum, which I know from board brands all too well. So,
yeah.
Sorry to make it so depressing, Jeremy, but thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I'm real hyped you guys had me on the show.
So I figured you'd have, be very open and something you'd want to talk about because I thought you were doing a really cool thing. So I guess we can just get started, Jeremy. And so where was your shop located?
Springfield, Missouri, Southwest Missouri. Have you ever watched the show Ozarks?
Yeah.
You heard of it? Yeah. That area of the Midwest. So we're kind of out of the cut of everything else. We're the third largest city next to St. Louis and Kansas City.
But those are both pretty far from where you're at.
3 hours to Kansas City and about 3.5, 4 to St. Louis. Yeah, I'd like to say Missouri is a pretty tight-knit community, skate community, though.
With the shop, so what made you decide, I'm going to do this? I'm opening up my shop.
I always wanted a shop. I grew up in my old local Classic Boards. It opened in 1998 and ran till 2014. He closed down. My friend Jose opened a shop, 417. He ran that for about 5 or 6 years, closed down. A year went by, and I thought I would give it a shot. I've always was involved with both of them, and I love skating and wanted to help out my community.
It's always great to when it's somebody who is involved in the previous shops, and you can kind of learn from the things that went well and things that didn't go well. And the industry changes every year. And there's so many things that change, but at the same time, you can kind of see oh, well, they did this and it wasn't as successful for them. And you kind of turn that into, instead of just coming in and kind of being all right, well, I'm just going to open a skate shop.
Yeah, I had an idea. I knew the risk that was involved. I think being in a college town, we get a lot of people from all over. We build a strong community for about 4 or 5 years and people move out. So that's what I've gathered over the years is why things will go up and down so quickly here. Our core community is solid, but it's just so small. And you'll just get people from wherever coming in, going.
So you said it is a decent sized city. So there is a street scene. There's spots and.
Yeah, I think we have really amazing spots for the size of the town. I think I'd call it a big town
Gotcha.
More than a city. But yeah, people come from all over to skate our stuff. I think Russ Milligan has skated here. We have some pretty surprising people who have lived here and stopped by.
Sick.
Yeah. I just threw that name out there because he's so ill,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, one of the best to do it.
Yeah,
definitely. So was there other shops in the area at all when you opened up, or was it
we have the Springfield skate park. It's owned by the city now. They have a shop, nonprofit, so it's kind of hard to compete with their prices. They can sell everything cheaper. There's zero tax. So if a deck is $65, it's $65. They'll be able to sell a little cheaper because of that as well. They could knock a board down to 55 or 45 and still not be hurt really by it.
Yeah, because they're not really there to make a profit. It's just benefiting the park or whatever.
Yeah, but they are good people. The manager there, he was really good to the shop. He would steer away from carrying certain brands that I carried.
Nice.
So I was grateful for that. But there are staples you can't get away from though, or when people are ordering from. Can I say names? Can I say like AWH or South Shore?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So
sure. This isn't the Transworld podcast.
Okay.
We're good. You can
all
say
right, cool, man.
anything.
I'm just not trying to get anyone in trouble.
No,
Yeah.
cool.
But when people are ordering from AWH and South Shore, you're going to run into that. People are going to have the same Baker board or deluxe wood, something like that.
Yeah, when it comes to hard goods, it's kind of like a free for all. Like there's no real
Sure.
like, like
Sure.
maybe if it's something real niche or like specific, but
Yeah. That we have that Zumies, and that's about it. But it's so small. Everybody's probably about 5 or less miles away from each other, so it's very
wow.
competitive.
oh wow,
for the community. Yeah. So
it's so funny because we have shops that are like, 30, 40 miles away from each other, still complaining that they're too close. The next one's too close or whatever.
oh yeah. It was. I would get frustrated sometimes, but I learned patience from this for sure. Yeah. And the owner or the manager at the park, he doesn't skate, so he didn't know anything outside of South Shore or NHS stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're way more on the pulse of like what's cooler
Oh,
in
yeah.
skating at the moment.
For sure. And I part of the reason why I wanted to shop was to support smaller brands. I wanted to bring life to smaller brands and brands that I feel like might get kids more hyped on what we have to skate here. More like quasi and more East Coast based brands is more relatable to our surroundings than some of the California based brands and what they have going on.
Yeah, that's why we were psyched that you hit us up so early.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, and I found out about Northern Co and DOA because of 500 Fahrenheit. So if that podcast,
one of the 3 listeners.
yeah, yeah, my friend Levi from Tulsa was a listener too.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy. Just to even think, because like that was pulling whatever out of my ass. I remember the good old days. That was the Big Mosh
thought it was
Podcasting
cool.
Network.
Yeah, Big Mosh.
Oh, do you remember that Big Mosh guy? He would like get on in the
You
beginning.
told me about it afterwards.
Yeah, nice guy, really nice guy. But I sat next to him at my friend's wedding, and I never saw him. I didn't know who he was, and literally sat like next to me. And they never introduced me, like my friend and his wife. They never introduced anybody at the table, so I wasn't talking to anybody I didn't know. That's like.
So
I
wait,
didn't pick up
before
until-
this, while you were recording, you were sitting next to this guy, or before all this
I
started?
think I was done with it, but I already like recorded,
Wow.
did all the episodes.
Oh, wow.
And, like,
Oh,
yeah, and I had no idea. And he didn't like come up to me, and I didn't really hear him talk, so I didn't, I was just like, oh, they threw some random person. Like I had other people I knew at the table, so. But yeah,
That's
he
fine.
sat next to me the whole time. I had no clue.
For those
Pretty
that
messed
don't
up.
know, Steve used to do a podcast called 500 Fahrenheit years ago. Had some awesome guests on there. So maybe one day
Yeah.
we'll get those back online.
I have
You should.
a lot of them. They're really shitty. Like I've listened to them, and I'm like, wow, this is bad. I wouldn't have even listened. I sound like
I don't
I'm,
know.
like,
There's ones I wish I could go back and listen to. Like I wish I could listen to the Jimmy Chung one again.
yeah.
That one was funny too. Not to make this all about me, but I couldn't record, so I had to go to my wife's aunt's house and record it off of my phone. It was like the only way. So I'm talking to him
Nice.
on the phone. I kept losing service, and I remember that. I like recorded it through a phone app, the whole interview.
The Jimmy Chung one, that was probably the last 500 you did, right?
One of the last for sure.
I think I did one. No, because then there was Lurker Lou. Might have been the last one.
Okay.
And I did one with my friend Andy. That might have been the last one. But I think the Lurker Lou was like one. And then I was working on one with Vegan John at Killing Floor. And that's what made me quit. Because he kept bailing. And I was like, I'm done. I can't deal with this.
All comes back to Vegan John.
Yeah, oh, he's useless.
So you were saying you started right before COVID?
Yes, a month and a half. So
That's crazy.
yeah, opened up and shut down. The shop was stocked. I ran out of things quickly. I wasn't wise on the game of doing pre-books yet, so that kind of hurt me. It got to a point where if you did not have pre-books, you were not going to get anything, and a lot of major accounts I couldn't get at the time, and I don't blame them. I totally understand. Like they had to take care of the shops who had been supporting them for 15 years, 5 years, and so on. So I understood that, but it was very difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's also crazy too because you start up and it's the pre-book era. Like I got a pre-book or I'm not getting anything.
Yes.
Um, and then when you ended, right, you were almost in
Yeah.
the place where I don't want to pre-book anything. I'll get whatever you have when I need stuff. I
Yes.
don't know if you did it like that, but
I just got a lot of false numbers off that. For I did all the pre-books and things were moving, and everyone. It was that honeymoon phase of the shop, and people were really hyped on what I had and what was going on. And eventually, the pre-books just kept coming, and things kind of evened out, and you had to start putting things on sale.
yeah.
Yeah. So
And I think that's where a lot of shops are still from
yeah.
that.
Yeah, it was. I felt really bad. I did have to cancel some pre-books towards the end, and I hated doing that. I think that really bummed me out because they were really cool brands that I finally was able to get into the shop, and by the time things were showing up, it was too late to bring any of those companies in.
Hmm.
Yeah, so there was a few brands that I didn't get to bring in that I wanted to, but um, outside of that, I got to bring in some other stuff.
Yeah, it was a weird time because it was like everybody was scrambling to get product, and if you had it, it was gone right away. Like I
Yes.
remember that first batch of DOA stuff that we got in, our whole order was gone within the first week,
Wow.
and then we
Yeah,
had
it was
no
crazy.
boards again.
I remember Seasons was like, but Season, they were like, what do you have? How much can I get? And I was like, take whatever you want. And they're like, I want 90 boards. And I had to cut back on it because I was like, because then people were like, all right, I need this and this. So it was like whoever pre-booked, and then they took so much. It was like, I'm gonna have to cut you guys back. Like I can't believe I'm saying I have to cut back an order like that. It was
That's a similar to what I was going to say. I would try to talk people out of buying stuff that I knew weren't going to use it for very long. People would just come in and want to spend money. I'd be like, nah, you don't want those wheels, or just in hopes because I knew somebody who really needed those wheels were going to come in that week to get them. Yeah. So there were times where I'd do that.
see, and this is what sucks too. Like you were there for the skate consumer, like the actual 100% skater. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like take I got to make money. We're gonna do this. It
Yeah.
was I'm here
No,
for
I
you
wasn't
guys.
selling longboards or pipes or anything like that. And nothing against those things, but that's not the culture that I come from, and that's not what I was trying to get my community hyped on. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
all core goods.
yeah. But even just looking out, like you don't need that. I know there's gonna be a dude who actually really is like skating and needs those. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
like
for
save it for
sure.
the dude who needs it, who's gonna actually be skating around, not just like buying stuff to buy stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
you had that combination of like way more people are skating because they're not working as much, or they're all working remotely, so they're all skating a lot more, so they're going through product faster, and there's less product available.
yes,
It was
yeah,
Yeah, super crazy, man. Because I remember just stocking up. I had a refrigerator filled with wheels because I was like, any shops who had 50s, I was just buying them, and I was like, I gotta. I don't care. I'll have like 4 sets. I might never be able to get them again. I remember it was like stuff was in and out. It was insane. That was such a crazy time. And like you said, it's false numbers. You're like, oh, this is amazing. And
yes,
then the bottom falls out and it's like, oh, or you were promised pre-books. Here's another one, right? Okay, your pre-books will be in June. And then those pre-books don't show up until December. No,
That
October.
happened quite a bit. I didn't get
Yeah.
upset about that. That wasn't necessarily every brand's fault. That would be the manufacturer's fault. I understand there were shipping problems. So
Yeah, all over the place
yeah.
between
Yeah.
them trying to get just wood in general, and then there was like the shortage of the stained veneers, and like it was everything across the board. It's like
Yeah.
all
Everything
kinds
was
of weird.
natural. Yeah, for a while.
Yeah,
All
rough.
natural veneers.
That's like the worst of the worst, right? All
So
the
what it's supposed to be stronger, right? Just all natural.
Oh,
stronger, more pop, because there's no
I'll
dye
take
that
broken
dries
boards
water.
over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Skate One is still stuck with natural tops from COVID, still,
Wow. That's
except for like the in-house stuff, but all like the standard, like like the regular boards, not like the cruisers or any of those. Yeah, they all natural, still.
But yeah, I mean, and then you had that like where you started over ordering because there's so many people skating, and then people start trickling back, and now all of a sudden there's people going back to work, and things are starting to slightly get back to normal, and there's product available, so everybody's still buying it like there's shortages. And then I don't know
yeah.
if it happened to you, but I mean, I saw a lot of shops that wound up like super over ordering and then being stuck with, a lot of excess product.
I don't know if it was just me, but I felt like people were maybe wood shops were putting boards out too quick because I had a lot of warped decks. Like, I felt like there
Mm.
was tons of warped boards, and I tried to pay attention to my racks and like the temperature of the shop, but I had a lot of stuff twist on me. Maybe it's just me. It
No,
could
but I
be.
could see that like they're
No,
pumping it out as fast as they can because there's such a demand
Yes.
for it. Like they're not going to let them cure long enough, or
Yes.
whatever the deal is.
Yeah.
well, around that too, there was that. I don't know if anybody remembers. So in Texas, all their infrastructure, they had all the freezing in Texas.
Okay.
Mhm.
What South Central told me was the main glue places are in Texas,
Hmm.
so nobody could get glue. I had so my guess, I had a lot of boards that were delamming, and luckily it was mostly riders, so I don't, whatever. But yeah, the boards were delamming, so I wonder if too, like half the glue. Hey, we can't get glue. Just
Yeah, they
put
were
half of
skimping
it
on the
on. Get
glue.
these things out, and
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. Could be. Yeah, just all over. Yeah, Spitfires were hard to get, which was a unique situation. I think I got to bring in Loophole wheels, and Loophole did really well for a while when they were
hmm
NFG was I think the manufacturer
yeah.
of Loophole, which I that chemist did he create the formula for or help
In the
with
Yeah,
that?
beginning,
that
yeah,
was
around
the
that time, yep. And they were
Yeah. So,
making the wheels themselves. Like I think Jam and Jesse were making the wheels.
oh wow,
Like
that's cool.
so, yeah. So they had
yeah. 'Cause you
access
gave
to
me like a really early set, and they were like not even like
yeah,
sanded properly on the edges. Like they were like early, early.
yeah. You could scratch the graphics off. It was
Yeah, the graphics still would kind of smudge off on your finger if you like hit them with some rubbing alcohol. But for the time, it was nice to be able to provide like a
Mm-hmm.
quality wheel when you couldn't get the Formula Fours because that's what everybody wanted at the time and still do, as far as I know.
did.
Yeah.
Was it hard for you to push those on? Like not push them, but hey, you like Formula Fours? This is like the Formula Five. It's the same chemist. Was that like a hard for people to sink in? Like
No, it people trusted me, like the core
okay, good.
customers. Or I tried to shoot everyone straight, so
I feel like that's so important.
yeah,
I feel like the person at the skate shop kind of directing people and giving them the heads up of like, this is this cool new thing, like just give it a shot. Or like this is the brand that I'm backing,
yeah.
instead of just, oh, the easy one of always give them the FA or whatever that they're looking for.
Yeah,
I,
it's people trusted my opinion. I was grateful for that. Or like James on the labor episode, I would do the same. I'd take every board off the wall if somebody wanted to check it out or stand on it or know from the art to the wheelbase. I would give them that information. So that was
yeah.
important to me to provide to people.
which I think is a lost art in a lot of shops. I really do think that that's out the window. I just even just certain kids now that work at the shops don't care. It's too much effort. It takes them away from their Instagram. Like
Yeah, I never hired
it's
anyone at the shop. I worked there
Those was just you all the time.
the whole time. And no hate. Anyone I wanted to hire had a good job. Anyone else, they just couldn't grip a board properly, and I didn't trust them. I know it sounds ridiculous, but
No,
I
but
really did care about that.
yeah,
And,
it's your name going out there.
yes, and I just didn't feel like people had all the knowledge that they needed to push the brands I wanted to push at the time.
I respect that for sure.
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was hard. And there were some cool kids and people that I would have loved to hire. They just couldn't do what I was looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had that when I worked at the shops. Like, we would have kids that skated for the team or whatever. That they were great people, but then you brought them in the shop and you're like, "What the hell?" Like, never mind. This isn't going to work out. You got to just stick to the skateboard part.
Yeah. That's it.
Man.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep this as positive as I can and not write you guys a country song, but because I am.
It is what it is, man. Like, skateboarding's in a weird spot right now.
Yeah, it is. But I am so grateful I still had the opportunity to do it, and I still love skateboarding as much as the first day I did it. So it didn't make me jaded or bitter towards skateboarding or the industry to lose the shop or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of went out on your own terms too. It wasn't like a
somewhat. I had like $200 weeks, and that's when the writing was on the wall. It was just like, I can't do this. I can't take care of my family anymore. So yeah, I just had to read the room. You can't do that. If I was a single guy living on my own, yeah, I would have just moved into the back of the shop and grinded it out until things bounced back. But you can't do that with a family.
Yeah, definitely.
No,
Yeah.
But also, I give you credit for realizing that, taking real life into account, because skateboarding is so easy to get carried away with. You know what I mean? Like, because there's times even it's, you'd want to throw everything away for it. That sounded really bad, but it's very, it's very empowering. It's very, there's a word I'm looking for, but
Dude,
it can draw
how
you
many
in.
people do we know that are in that like Peter Pan syndrome?
Yeah.
Just, it is what it is. Like,
It's even with this, like, yeah, doing DOA was cool. And sure, I could have kept going. You could always do 50 boards and break even. Like, there's always a way to do that. But
yeah, I wanted you to.
Yeah.
Selfishly, I love DOA.
It was just it got rough trying to hunt down money and not being able to send anybody on trips or anything, because like it was cool when COVID peaked, and then it was like, oh, like now we're back to normal, and there's no money, there's no anything. It's like scraping by. Like,
yeah,
there's no more point to doing it. If I'm putting in more effort than everybody else. And there were people who still would, but it was super hard to get footage.
It sucks.
I don't have money to pay anybody to film. It's hard.
Yeah. It sucks the creative energy out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
And it was right in that boom of like, there were so many brands popping up.
Yeah.
That from a spot where Jeremy would be, where it's like, oh, I want to support this and I want to support this and I want to support this. But it's like, how many small brands can you support at one time, especially when you're buying direct from those brands? So it's like you got to buy 6 or whatever you're buying from that. You can't buy like 2 limousine boards and 2 DOA boards and 2 of this. Like, it just gets complicated where it's not even worth it for you. But so we were fighting for wall space doing DOA, where it was like, damn, there's 60 new brands this year, and like we're fighting for like how many boards would you say you stocked on the wall?
I tried to keep 100 on the wall at a time if I could. Yeah, that was the best I could do.
It's like 100 between 40 brands is 3 or 4 boards a piece. Like,
Yeah, it's not that many.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Tara did really well. Tara was one of the last orders I got to do for the shop, and I sold through the boards really quickly.
I
So,
appreciate you bringing them in. That was cool.
yeah. I'm really glad they did well, and I hope people still order, or maybe the park or somebody here will pick it up.
So I was looking at pictures of the shop, just to like get an idea of the layout.
Yeah.
It looked. I love that back room with like the TV and all the magazines and all that stuff.
Yes.
So cool. Like, I love when a skate shop has like where you're comfortable going in there.
Well, thank you for recognizing that. I wanted people to feel comfortable, and I actually was a part of Look Back Library. Kevin Marks came to the shop, and it was really cool. He came by and we talked, and he helped me set up the library and be a part of that. So, yes, that's kind of where the name conservation came from. I wanted to highlight the history and what I came from and what I wanted kids to see. It was nice to let like people had never put a VHS tape in and to watch them do that and like watch a video. It was cool.
Like, oh, how do I skip to this guy's part?
Yeah. Hit the vert button, like that shit. Yeah.
And did people take to that well? Like, were they like, oh, this is really cool?
Yeah, people would check stuff out, borrow books, borrow magazines, just watch the videos. Some of the stuff I wouldn't let people, take home.
Right.
But yeah, it was a big part of the shop for sure. Yes, I think it helped people feel welcome, and I just wanted to create that nostalgia of an era of skating that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, like we used to go and lurk at the shop all the time, even when we weren't, working or whatever. We would just go and watch videos and do whatever. And now it's like, I feel like that's kind of dead.
Yes, and I tried to like curate that and bring it back, but it just didn't work. It's I think kids would come up and be like, "Oh, this is cool. Let's watch a video once and check out a magazine," and that was it. And it was back to their phones, which I totally get. I'm not hating on, but
yeah, but we were saying the kids don't even, like, as much as this sounds like some old man shit, like, kids don't hang out anymore.
no,
Like, they don't like go to somebody's house and like there's a bunch of them all hanging out at this place.
yeah.
It's
My
like
son
they're
on a
all
Friday
at
night.
their own houses playing video games together, but you can't
Yeah.
do that all as like a group. You got to do it.
That's what my son does on a Friday night. It's headsets. He's in the basement playing his games with his friends, and they're elsewhere.
Yeah, like that's how they're hanging out now.
Yeah.
Such different times, it's
For sure.
well, I guess I don't know if I'm jumping the gun, but like, so you have this next generation of skater. Did you see an influx before I get into that? Did you see an influx of younger skaters, or was it like there's way less?
So way less. My son skates. He's not like an everyday skater, but he had a little crew of friends, and they all, shortly after the big boom of skating during COVID, they all quit. They all quit. So Terrence doesn't skate as much because of that. It's mostly older kids. I would say we'll say 17 to 25 is the demographic I see around here. And
Which is crazy.
yeah. What about in your area, Steve? Long Island?
Long Island, nothing. So in my town, there's this kid who skates, and he's 11. This kid Ashton, and he's really good. Like, he has an ability, but he has nobody to skate with at all.
Yeah.
Like, I go over his house once a week and skate his box. It's my my play date I have, and then he goes to the park like on the weekends. He goes, and he meets but there's no kids. It's just older dudes.
Yeah.
And everybody's nice to him. But yeah, he has nobody in his school. Nobody. There's nothing. It just seems like there's no kids. Like, we have more parks than ever now, and you'll see a kid pushing around, but to see the little kids actually trying to take it seriously, because skating's hard. I think if they don't pick it up quick enough, they're over it.
Yeah, and we talked about that with like the Olympic thing, like where it's like everybody expected this boom to come in after the Olympics, but it's like you can go and shoot a basketball the first day and you're going to make hoops eventually. Like the first day skating sucks. Like
it's
you're
hard.
falling, it's hard. So it's like super defeating, and kids expect to be good at everything right now because it's like
skateboarding stays hard. It never gets easy. It never does. So I don't know.
I see like there's the 2 or 3 like younger kids that got good and kept skating, or there's like everybody at the skate park or even like at street spots. Like everybody I see is adults.
Yeah. We have a very park oriented skate community here, and it's strange. It's all older kids, and these older kids were the younger kids who grew up in the scene and were at the skate park, and there's no more. It's just a different breed, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think not having indoor parks here has really been like a detriment to skateboarding in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like 15 years ago, 10 years ago, like it was booming with young kids because like the moms would drop them off at the park, especially the one like big park that was out here that you'd always see like Tom Asta and Ashad and all those guys skating.
Mm-hmm.
There would be like it was in a giant mall. So the moms would drop their kids off for the day and they would go skate and then come back and pick them up at night. So they'd be at the park all day. And then eventually, even if they were scooter kids when they started out, they would pick up skating or whatever. And they would just be around skateboarding or be around that park community all day long. Now that doesn't exist, I feel like they don't connect like that. So there's no like, they're not being brought to it. So it just there's nowhere for them to go. Like there's all these public parks, but like moms aren't dropping them off to like, oh, go hang out here for the next 6 hours and I'll pick you up when you're done.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I would get dropped off at the skate shop, annoy the shit out of the owner. We would go street skate for a few hours, go to Taco Bell, eat some lunch, go back to the shop, and then go to the skate park and go home at like 10 in the summer. That was every day in the summer. And that was a group of 10 kids, and I felt like that went on for years until, I don't know, maybe 9 years ago, I feel like that started to trickle off and end. You started to see less and less younger kids in my community, at least.
I don't know about like you guys were like, I remember there were like times when we were kids where you guys would just go like, would you just go to like random parts of the city just to like scout it out or see what the deal was?
I still do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
We used to, there was a point we would laugh because we were so into looking for spots. We were like, well, we drive around Brooklyn, we'll drive, park, skate around 2 blocks, get in the car, drive, whatever. And we're doing that for 8 hours, and we maybe skated for 30 minutes. So we used to laugh like, and we'd have like, and the hometown heroes at the park training, he skated for 12 hours today, And
we had
here
one
we are
summer where like SEPTA, like the public transportation here, went on strike. So there was no buses for like a month. And then the rest of the summer, once the strike was over, the buses were free. So every day we were going to like random different parts of the city to go and skate or do whatever. And I'll never forget, we were out the one night so late and there was like a whole crew, like 10 of us or something. And it got so late that the buses stopped running. So we were stuck in like deep West Philly and had no idea how the hell to get home. But I remember we like called my mom and begged her to come pick us up. We were like, we don't even really know where we are. Like, just gave us like an intersection basically. And she piled like literally 10 of my friends into her like small SUV and drove us all back. Like, she was so pissed.
Well, and that's like, right? No maps. I mean, there's maps. There's no GPS. There's no...
Yeah, no one's skating around with like a paper map.
Yeah.
You just go get lost. That's what you did.
Yeah, it was so fun.
Yeah.
I definitely wound up in like parts of the city that I have probably never been to again.
Yeah, it's that was the fun. Like, I remember when we were younger, we'd take a train, go to a town. Like, oh, we heard people skate here, and it was like, take the train and we're going to go to Stony. I heard people skate at Stony Brook University. That's a place Gino skates. It's like two big banks. They have that photo with like the white shell toes, or they were like tan shell toes with a gum thing, and
That's like
sodding
the
a
bank
hip.
with like the ledge that's up above it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I was Stony Brook University, and it's like, yeah, people skate there. So I remember going and like we heard about it, but we didn't know where anybody skated. You know, and you're walking around the campus and you see this place. It's like a mini Embarcadero, and it was like, oh my god, you know. I times were so different because I don't think the kids now they go to a park, they don't care. I don't think they're into, you know. It's
Exploring.
just so much. Yeah, like the drive or, you know, it's
Yeah, because they can Google Maps a street and look at it and see if it's maybe that's a
if
spot.
they're even doing that, you know. I think a lot of them are just content they go to the park.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
out
Until
here,
somebody
there's
takes
kids
them to a
that,
spot or gives them a pin.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, like I said, our skate community is very park based, and I don't mean
hmm
it's not kids just blasting airs on a vert ramp. It's kids are skating the ledge at the skate park, and that's what they want to do.
hmm
It's just different than wanting to go find a new ledge or a rub brick something and make it skatable.
hmm
But I mean, we do have an awesome skate park. I don't blame some of them.
Oh no, how far was the park from the shop? And or that was the park that had the nonprofit skate shop in it.
That's the park with nonprofit skate shop.
Yeah.
It's an indoor outdoor facility. It's like 3.5, 4 miles from me
Okay.
or from where I was at. Yeah.
Okay, so there is like an indoor aspect
It's
to
an
it.
indoor outdoor park. Yeah. Yeah. It's been there for 22 years, I think.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Long
Yeah.
time.
But I mean, I guess that's almost the way to do it because there's skate parks don't make money.
No,
Yeah.
no, they don't.
That was always our biggest thing. It's like you went to the skate park on Saturday, it's packed, but nobody paid. And
Yeah.
if they did, it was the scooter kids that you're all complaining about.
hmm
That's it.
Like, they're the only ones that pay, but everybody's then shocked when the park closes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's the next thing to get into, right? So, I guess you know you realize you were going to close up, right? And then you have to, right? So you let people know, and then you put stuff on sale, and then you know I'm sure everybody and you know their grandparents came in to take advantage of the big sales.
Yeah, yes and no. I ran out of boards pretty quickly, but my last week I had COVID, so I didn't even get to really be open. My last week I was supposed to be. I just kind of was like I was like, all right, I have COVID. This is it. I didn't even tell anyone. I just kind of packed up everything. But yeah, people came in, and I had some good deals on clothing and some of the hard goods that were left. But yes, for sure, people took advantage of the pants. You know, I feel like once I put the pants on sale, people just flooded in. I didn't
Wow.
have the coolest. I think I had some like passport pants left and quasi domestics, but they moved really quick for sure.
Yeah, it sucks because like people are coming in to get the deal, but at the same time you're like you don't want to get stuck with it, but at the same time you're like, where were you when
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know
I have a
people were
basement
doing it?
full of 7.5s and 10.5 shoes. So
So is your website still open?
no, I closed everything down. The
Okay.
website. Yeah. Yeah. I do have some stuff. I think I'll be able to get rid of it locally. But I mean, I skate a lot, so I kept the wheels and the hardware. And yeah, I didn't have any more decks in my size, but anything I knew I would use, I just kept for myself.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I have a bunch of like size 8 trucks. So like Ventures, Thunders, and Aces. So I don't know how I'm going to move those.
Well,
Maybe
anybody out there looking for size 8 trucks has a fat bank account, hit up Jeremy.
Yeah.
And
please do.
I'll put your Instagram handle right here. And hit up Jeremy, and he will sell them to you. Do you have any 5.2
What's that?
venture lows?
No, if I had Venture, I'd send them to you. No, like I would have sent them to you a while back if I had those. Yeah,
I feel bad, Mitch. I had an axle shift on my last set that I had since COVID, and Mitch let me trade him for a new pair. So that was like huge.
I was
I
kidding myself
appreciate
that I
that.
was going to be able to skate a 5.2 blow truck.
Yeah.
It's like, this is not for me.
I went back to Aces actually. I was on Ventures, but it gets too cold here. My bushings will get too stiff, man.
Same. I tried to skate a spot like 2 weeks ago and I just couldn't turn. And I've been
Dude,
a
I
venture
got
guy for like 6 years, but I'm like, I just put indies on because I was like, I
were they
just
the
can't.
the purple bushings?
I was only running the green ones.
I had the green loose truck conversion ones, and I blew those out so quick. They just didn't last long for me.
No, I was like just going out of my way to whatever trucks I bought had the stock green ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like once Bobby brought those back in like his truck, and it was like the old school, 90s venture look.
Yeah.
It was like every season I'm like, all right, who's got the green? Like, which truck has the green bushings now?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I
they
wanted
actually
the
ran
green
green.
bushings really bad, and then my friend Benson was like, "Oh, I have the loose truck conversion kit. They're green. You should try those." And I have to ride my trucks pretty tight just so I don't get wheel bite on the lows. And I had like the Stevie Williams Bam Margera Kingpin. It was like that long because I had to crank it down on the loose trucks ones.
Yeah, we should be clear. The green conversion bushings are different than the stock green
Yeah,
venture. Just so people don't get confused about that. Because
they have a
they
lower
do suck.
profile.
The lows or the loose truck conversion ones.
And now they
Yeah.
sell them as a loose truck. They have the trucks just come with that bushing now. That's their new thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. I did notice that. I'm kind of being that I've been adjusting to my new job and stuff. I have been tuned out of the shop Instagram and some of the shop emails, so I'm not up to date on all the newest products.
Well, the loose trucks are out there, but yeah, I liked Aces when I had them. I did like the Ace lows. They were the first ones. I like the original ones, the 03 low, better than the 33 low when they did the Air Force, the AF ones. I like the old ones better, but I had to modify them.
Okay. Yeah.
Because they it seemed like they had the same kingpin from the highs on the lows of the 03s, and I had to grind that down, and the axles were super long. But I like the metal better. It felt better.
Okay. Yeah. I've heard mixed reviews on it. I've heard a few people who do like the classic Aces over the AF ones too, locally, which is interesting.
Mitch, you ever try Aces?
A long time ago, like when they first came out, and I
When the hangers
shattered
are-
a base plate right away.
Yeah.
So they sent me a replacement set with those like magnesium base plates that they were pushing.
Oh yeah. Whoa. I forgot about that.
Yeah, those were cool. I rode those for a while, but
Yeah. Yeah, I like Ace is a solid company. I think they've come a long way since when they first were out on the market for sure. I rode them for a decade up until I rode the Ventures after my injury. And so yeah, I've watched Ace suck and get good.
Wow.
yeah,
That's crazy. They've been around that long.
And what? 08? Maybe
That's
before,
insane.
No, I think 08. I could be wrong. Yeah, don't quote me on that.
yeah, but they've been around for a while because I remember buying them at the local shop, and that's been closed for 8 years.
Okay.
So it's been a while.
Yeah, Ace. So, and then with Ace, were they out of the same? Do you remember Force trucks? Were they out of the same thing?
They were out of Diamond distribution in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where I got them from. It's like our local Diamond rep.
Yeah. And now they're out of Mesa distribution. So that's like
Uma,
yeah, Pepper, and Ace. Yeah. But they were cool to work with, I must say. They were
Brian
really
Brown.
good. Yeah. My reps, Matt Ward. I don't know if you're familiar with him. I don't really know where he's from, but he was an awesome guy to work with. He was really good at the shop.
I'm just such
And
a
then,
mark for listen. I know Brian
Oh
Brown
yeah,
works there, so
yeah. Brian Brown. Yeah, he's so sick. I miss Listen Skateboards as well. It's an awesome company. Yeah.
Yeah.
Evan Smith used to. I think he was on
that's where I first met him. Vern brought him on this trip
Oh, cool.
when he was like the team manager. Like they came to like a shop that I was doing stuff with in Jersey, and they brought like all that. So it was like Rodrigo Peterson, Evan Smith, can't remember, two other like younger dudes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't remember any. Yeah.
Oh, Gabriel De La Mora, that's who it was.
Oh wow. Yeah.
yeah, he was super good.
Yeah,
So good. He for sure an unsung hero in my eyes.
Yeah. And Mitch, wasn't John Crozer, what was his name? He
Cresser?
was on
Yeah.
Flow, right, for a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. I think that
Quiet
was a Vern
John,
hookup.
He was super good. He was Workshop Flow for a little bit. He was
They always had DCs on.
yeah. He was super good, man. So I guess we just mentioned the pepper grip. So what grips did you carry at the shop? Did you carry Mob Pepper Jessup, or was that a
Mob, Pepper, Jessup, and that's it.
okay?
That's all I carried. Pretty meat and potatoes. Same with the bearings. Did reds, mini logos. I would throw in some shake junt in the mix. Kids like those, and they seem like a quality bearing. Quantum. And that's about it. I kept it pretty basic with grip tape and bearings.
And then wheels did you carry what Spitfire bones?
Spits,
Loophole.
not very many bones. They never sold that very well, and also the park has always stocked bones, so I tried to let them have that. So Loophole OJs did pretty well. We have like I said, a big like transition based community, so slime balls, OJs would do pretty well, but mostly spits. That's what people want, and small SML wheels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I carried them. Prize Fighter. I had Prize Fighter in there as well.
Prize Fighter.
Yeah.
Shout out Ray Knives.
Sick.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you, Jeremy, did you get me sour boards at one time? You did.
Yeah, sour. I carried a lot of Skate Cafe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I had a Euro Things distribution as well.
Do you have any late Sammy boards left randomly?
I would have one on the wall and one under my feet if I did, man. I want that time code. Like that time code graphic, it's embossed. They never delivered that. Yeah.
Wow. Man,
so I pre-booked that and it never shipped.
Such a good skater. Huge fan.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, that's why, Mitch, I saw your hat and I thought it was a casino hat. I want to say it's his shop, and he's in the UK. Yeah, late Sammy, the best.
Oh, he owns a shop.
I think so, because there's casino. It's Casino Hard. I'm pretty sure it's a shop.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's so sick.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I didn't honestly pay much attention to him until the end of a cafe video, and he was skating flat ground, and he just did every trick in the world.
Steve blew me up about that as soon as it came out. He's like, "Did you watch this yet?"
Yeah.
I was sold after that.
Man. So it was just the best. I'm gonna play it now. It was like the coolest thing. He just goes on this 12-trick loop in a circle, skating flat, and it's
super
insane,
impressive.
Man. So, like a brand like Cafe, is that a hard sell? Like, you're in the Midwest, and it's like, like this is this cool UK brand, and
they were through Keen, so I would just order a little bit here and there. I could never do a huge pre-book with them. I would order like 4 or 5 boards at a time and a couple of t-shirts. They always did well. They did a lot of pop culture spoofs, Ferris Bueller, Forrest Gump, stuff like that would sell really well. I think more of wall hangers than anything. People didn't really know what they were buying, honestly. But selfishly, I carried it because it felt good to have it on my wall, and it was nice to be able to buy one for myself. So,
They were another one where it's like, oh, this is a pro model, but it's not a pro model. Like, like Karan Gale's board, like that dude rips. I would totally buy a board with his name on it, but it doesn't.
He has a pro model board out now.
But is his name on it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sick. I remember for the longest time it was like it would be somebody's graphic, but their name wasn't on it anywhere.
Yeah, I got kind of confused with Keen at times. So I would pre-book it and it would have a ship date, and then they just wouldn't make it to the US. And I don't know if my rep wasn't clear with me on maybe enough people in the US didn't pre-book it, so they weren't shipping it. But
yeah, I've heard that there was another shop locally here that was the same thing. Like I would ask him why this board wasn't there. He's like, oh, they didn't send any of those because nobody here booked it.
Yeah, Keen was another distribution that was great to work with, but that's the only negative thing I can say that happened. But I'm sure my rep was just, these reps get too busy. I'm sure.
But I'm sure, those things like makes it hard for them to justify if they're not, hitting those quantities to bring them over. Same thing with us shipping internationally.
The cost of a shipping container is probably outrageous.
Yeah, like even I've talked to like shops in Spain and the UK and whatever, and they're like, yeah, we can't even buy from if you sell to a distributor because the prices are so ridiculous that, like, especially now there are boards over there.
Yes,
they're like, we're just buying brands over here.
Yeah, I mean, even Magenta is now in Zumies here, so I'm sure that their shipping costs and have something to do with that, and them not being able to move boards.
They're in Zumies. Is Theories in Zumies?
No, just Magenta is in my local Zumies. They had a jam deck on their wall. It was like from the newest run.
I mean, you know what's crazy too is, and I'll bet I'm going to say, because I've heard of people doing this where they can get in Zumies, but they'll get to pick where they want it. So like Magenta boards might not be in Zumies in New York because they don't want, there's too many people here to see it.
Like they want to test market.
They'll put them in the Midwest or something where nobody's going to really, it's not like it's that core. I don't want to say not that core market, but they'll.
No, you can say it.
They'll pick and choose where they put it. Like keep it in the middle, keep it out of New York because I don't want the cool shops there to find out we have it there and then not buy because I need a post from a top labor or something. We'll just say that helps more than like keep us cool too. But meanwhile, we're just pushing all that shit into the Midwest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just felt Magenta was a brand that it was a creative edge for a core shop to have against somebody like Zumies. I felt like Magenta was a brand that people would come to the shop to check out or want to support. But I get it. At the end of the day, they have to survive as well. And some of my favorite skaters are getting a paycheck off of that. So that's the positive spin I can see from it.
Yeah, because they have hockey now too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they have the Zumies here has like a whole little booth for hockey. Like they made a big deal about it.
Well, it's so like I'm just picturing like the typical Zumies person, like, oh, I'm going to go to Zumies today and get my hockey board. Like, I don't even think they'd know what that is. Which is crazy.
But it's weird because like around here, there's areas where there's no skate shop, and those kids have to go to Zumies to get boards. So it's like even the standard like skater that knows what they're talking about, just out of necessity, has to go to Zumies.
They do. Springfield's small. People, even core members of the scene, will go to Zumies. Hockey wouldn't FA and hockey wouldn't open me. I tried to reach out to them so many times, and they wouldn't carry me or allow me.
That's so crazy.
Them.
Oh, they were like super selective for the longest time. Now they'll sell to anybody.
Yeah. And I always hoped that there were shops too that wouldn't like. that wouldn't carry them, and then
Right.
they took them, and I'm like, oh, it would have been cool if when they wanted to get in there, you said, you remember what? Screw you. But everybody's got to
You
make
told me
sales.
because I carried Element that I couldn't be in your shop, and now all of a sudden,
Yeah, and Kern Caples is on now. Like,
Yeah.
he was on Flip.
I always felt hockey was the cooler of the two. FA should have went to the mall. They should have kept hockey as a core brand.
Did you guys watch that new Hockey Edit?
I did.
I watched it last night, like randomly. It was crazy when that kid falls and hits his head off the roof. That was insane.
Yeah. I love watching that, but that's not what I want to watch before I go skate. Right. Yeah. Any questions from you, Steve, or you guys?
I think we got enough.
Okay.
Yeah, Mitch? So just do some kind of like outro, and then we can.
Too bad we don't have something cool. One of those cool, like, my wife called. I have to go. That was great.
My cat's making a bunch of noise at the door. That's not very cool, though.
No, but it's going to be cool enough. So on that note, Jeremy, it was great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, fellas. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's, again, just from when I was doing DOA and having the brand and meeting people, like, it's definitely like, whether these brands or shops, they're here, they're not here anymore. Like, there's definitely people you meet throughout it that, make it all worthwhile.
Yeah. So, and I honestly wouldn't know about DOA if it wasn't for you doing your podcast. So it goes full circle.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. Right. Thank you for supporting everything.
Until next time.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll be back next episode. Oh, sorry.
I'm not going to watch. This is probably the only one I won't watch. So I hope it does well for you guys.
But yo, you got to break out and I got to break out. World for life.